Hi there. I hope you're doing well. This is Bella Rose, and I have got to tell you, I am likely right in the very middle of recording a church training. I don't know if it's exactly happening right now while you're listening, but we are in the process of doing that. For years, people have been asking us to put our content from our flagship course for men or our flagship course for women. They've wanted to put it in the churches. And for a long time, it's just, when do I have the time to record something for churches? I'm coaching and, creating podcasts and leading the team and just all the really amazing things that God does here. When do we have time for this? But it really became clear that this is now the season to push into this. And it's been exciting how God has just opened up so many doors, and so many, people have donated money because they're just like, I want this in the churches. It's been incredible, really, really. So if you're one of those, thank you. Point is, for you, dear listener, that these next several weeks, we're going to be sharing episodes that maybe were already pre-recorded, which is still really great content for you, just to feel like this is really helpful. But also it allows me to take a step back and really have my focus on these church training series. So if you want to understand more about what we're working on, go to delightyourmarriage.com/church. And we've got some promo videos there. You can kind of just get your feet wet. We are really excited because we're launching in January 2026. We've got our pilot churches going in the fall, but we've got the actual launch 2026. We'd love to have your church involved. So you can check out all the information at delightyourmarriage.com/church. All right, enjoy today's episode. God bless you. Welcome to the Delight Your Marriage podcast. You're joining me, Bella Rose, as I dive deep into the beauty, power, and truths about intimacy. Learn not only the practicals, but the heart behind what making love is all about. Delight your marriage.
Hello, Kim and Russ. Welcome.
Hi, Dana.
Hi, Dana.
Hi. I am so grateful to be here with you guys today. How are we doing?
We're doing great. Good to be here with you.
Yes,
Yeah,
looking forward to this.
good. I am too. I am too. I have known you guys for a while, right? But I'm getting the chance to sit here and hear your story is really exciting to me. And I'm very, very grateful that you would have the courage to come in here and share with us individually and as a couple how Delight Your Marriage has impacted your life and all that God has done through it. And so, Kim, we were originally here, just you and me, right? We were going to talk about your story, but then we decided that it would be really fun to have Russ come along, which we're so grateful for, Russ. So thank you for that. But
You're
I do
welcome.
want to just kind of highlight right off the top here, Kim, that you went through a very special process, but it's one that is very common to us, and that is coming through the Delight Your Marriage program, specifically the Delighted Wife program, and then getting to a point in your journey where you decided that you think God had more for you, that you could go just a little bit deeper into what you had learned previously. So let's start off there with you specifically, Kim. Maybe you could just give us a little bit of an overview of what going through the program was like for you the first time. And then, what was it that you experienced doing a re-engagement, that we like to call it?
So the first time I joined was 3.5 years ago. And my husband had done the program 9 months prior, and we'd had wonderful change in our marriage. It was just terrific. And I saw, oh, okay, well, he's worked hard and I need to catch up. So I joyfully joined. I had been offered the program previously and I wasn't interested, but when I saw the changes in him, I was very happy to go into it. It was a little bit different. It had a lot of smaller modules, smaller courses, and so during the time that I was there, we had direct coaching with Bella as she was redoing it to the current format. And so that was exciting and wonderful. I was in a small accountability group, and that was wonderful. And then, yeah, I saw a lot of change. It challenged me to think some more about our love life in a way that was healthier. It wasn't so much of a transactional thing. I was more able to enter into all aspects. Our communication had improved. We had better tools for handling conflict. We were challenged with different spiritual practices that we had been challenged with in the past, but we really put them into practice more. And so,
Like Sabbath.
yeah, Sabbath was one.
Yeah. Resting.
And doing gratitudes changed my whole mindset. That was wonderful. So yeah, so that was really good. And I finished that about 3.5 years ago and actually did a podcast on that. That one was number 389. 2 years before that, Russ and I did one together where I kind of crashed in on after he had finished it because I was so thrilled with the changes. That was podcast number 293. And yeah, we were just cruising along and it was good. And I'm not saying we've had breakthroughs. We've done lots of counseling over our 39 years of marriage. And we'd had breakthroughs, but none of them lasted the way DYM did. And so we had a sort of a mantra that Russ started when he first did the program, because I was like, honey, I'm just afraid that we weren't, things weren't like perfect, but my goodness, I'll take 95% any day.
About going back.
Yeah, things improved when we'd have a bump. There was, I guess, for me, emotional trauma really from the past, where I was just afraid that he was going to become the grumpy man again, and so I'd be like all uptight, and then I'd trigger him, and he'd trigger me, and then we were just so afraid we were going back, and so we had this term that you came up with, this mantra, which was, we're not going back.
Yep.
And usually he would say that to me when I'd say, honey, I'm that hurt, I'm afraid, and he would say that. And then there were times when he was doing really poorly and I was able to say that to him.
Interesting.
And so we were so thankful for that.
So I'm going to pause you there, Kim, because I hear lots of challenges were in existence prior to coming to Delight Your Marriage as a whole. So I think it's would be good for us to hear what those challenges were prior to Delight Your Marriage. And maybe for you specifically first, Kim, and then Russ, if you'd like to kind of join in and share with us what was that brought you here? What were you struggling with prior to DYM?
Okay. We have 5 now grown children, 3 grandchildren now. And during their growing up years, we were really, really busy. We had some struggles that happened with Russ's job, deaths in the family, a lot of pain that just didn't get resolved. Plus, we had a lot of family of origin stuff. My family didn't communicate much. It was peaceful. I was used to that. His family was totally opposite. They fought a lot, and that was considered normal. I remember one of my first times as a newlywed being with their family. I was in tears because I thought they were so mean to each other. And I think I said something to his mom, and she said, "Oh, no, that's just the way we talk." And I'm like, "Oh, dear."
Oh my.
Yeah. So, I mean, there was years of pain, even just being around his family. And I adjusted, not necessarily in the healthiest ways. And so fighting was kind of normal between us. It wasn't good for the kids. The kids, were still waiting on God to heal some aspects of our relationships with our children, our adult children, who are now 27 to 36 or so now. And a lot of healing has happened. But there's definitely more to go.
Yeah.
What would you add?
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of arguments. Every week there was an argument, sometimes multiple arguments, and it was horrible. And that disconnect really, it didn't hurt me as much as a man, but it hurt her. And there was a huge disconnect for her. It just wasn't healthy. She didn't feel safe. And even if it was only once a week having an argument and the rest of the week was great.
Emotionally safe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, emotionally safe. So it was very disconnecting for us. And so, like for me coming in the program, one of the first steps is no more arguments. And I remember holding it down and not arguing and biting my tongue. And it was very hard to do. But after 3 weeks, the hard to do went away and it became normal. And it was amazing. And she's going into church saying, I don't know where the old Russ went, but I don't want him back. I'm loving this new man. I'm going, are you feeling okay, honey? And it was just really amazing, the transformation.
So
Just
it sounds, I'm sorry to
yeah,
interrupt you.
just
It
by no
sounds like,
arguments.
yeah, so having a culture of growing up in, like you said, some arguments were just the way it was. That was just a normal for you. And so it must have been extremely challenging to then adopt a no arguments standpoint. What was that like
Yeah.
for you, Russ?
Well, I mean, you're there with a coach that you've never met before. I've never met Bella before being on the video screen with her. So um, you want to please your coach, you want to please your teacher. So I'm like, well, I can't argue. If I come in here and I have an argument, I'm going to get yelled at. Not that Bella would yell at me, but I didn't know her that well back then. But um, I'm like, I can't argue. So I really had to bite my tongue. But I had no idea. If you look up quarreling or dissensions or strife or disputes in the Bible and Google it, how many verses the New Testament and Old Testament, particularly New Testament, has about not doing those things. And I've never heard a sermon on that, but Bella has taught us that. And it's huge, it's missing from the church and the teaching. And I mean, in my journal, I've got a whole page of verses that I've written down on that to just keep me grounded. Okay, no, disputes are not good. Dissensions, quarreling, and it's not only affected our marriage, it's affected my relationship with our kids and with everybody. I mean, just I won't argue on things that I used to argue. Winning an argument was something very important to me at one point. I think it came from my family of origin, and it doesn't matter as much anymore.
Incredible,
Yeah.
incredible. So let me set the scene a little bit more. Now, Kim, you had mentioned that a friend had shared Delight Your Marriage with you, and you had witnessed some significant changes in her marriage, even though it was a good marriage, right? But even on top of that, you had seen some significant changes. And so when you learned more about Delight Your Marriage, what did that look like? Did you both just jump in with 2 feet, yay, excited to go and get this, get the ball rolling, or was it slightly different for you?
So that would have been 4.5 years ago that we heard about this from our friend Darcy. And she encouraged both of us. She was praying with me because I was so miserable. I was in tears a lot. And she was just so encouraging and sweet.
And of course, I had no idea. I'm just a typical blind with blinders on guy. A lot of us are that way. And I had no idea that she was that miserable. Anyway, keep going.
Well, and you had mentioned, Kim, too, that was not feeling emotionally safe.
Right. So when I would mention
marriage.
it, he'd just get angry. And it was basically the anger, which is actually hurt in disguise. And his not having a good outlet for it or a good way of handling it. And we had also done probably $20,000 worth of counseling over, at that point, it was about 34, 35 years.
Mhm.
And we'd have breakthroughs, but they didn't really last too long. If they lasted 6 to 9 months, that was probably long. We'd feel all emotionally great and all that, but we didn't really have a framework to continue it with. And we learned all sorts of communication skills. But it was all kind of disjointed. And I think one of the beauties of DYM is that it's, first of all scriptural. And then second of all, God has given Bella a framework, an understanding of the way marriage relationships and male-female relationships work.
Mhm.
And it's all the way God put us together. And everything is according to scripture. And she calls it a recipe. And all the ingredients are God's ingredients. And she puts it together and it's delicious. It's delightful.
Yes.
And
So
it's been a blessing for us, and it's lasted.
cute.
So
Did
yeah.
you come in together? Did you come
No.
in to
No,
right at the same time?
I came in April of 2021, did it. I mean, I heard God tell me, you need to do this. You need to love your wife like Christ loved the church, Ephesians 5. I was not motivated by what a lot of guys are motivated. Oh, I want a better sex life or something like that. Of course, that's of interest, but that was not my main motivation. It's like, no, I was convicted. I was not loving this woman that God gave me like Christ loves the church. And I need to grow. I need to be a better husband. That was my motivation for coming in. And I'm like, okay, I need to grow. I need to be better. I need to do a better job. And I've gone through that class that listen to recording again, that I know exactly where I was. I was out in the woods, um, and I was listening to it, and I heard God tell me on Judgment Day, if you don't change, it's not going to go well with you. Not like I was going to hell versus heaven, but the rewards and all. And I was like, oh my. I mean, I wasn't feeling like God was an ogre trying to punish me. But I'm like, no, it was more motivated out of, I want to please my daddy. I want God to be happy with me and say, well done, like Bella has put in front of us. And I've gone back and listened to that recording again. She did not say what I heard. So it was the Holy Spirit speaking through what she was saying to me to say, Russ, you're not doing the job loving your wife well. You need to love her right. So I did that. I finished in the end of June, beginning of July. And she thought about joining the women's thing. And she was kind of on the fence. And she said, nope, I'm not ready. And I said to her, honey, at some point you're going to do it. And she said, you're putting pressure on me. I said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Not putting pressure. I believe you will one day. And then finally in the end of December, we were back with our friends, with Darcy and her husband. And Darcy talked to Kim, and that kind of put her over the edge. And she said, yes, I do want to do this. So she joined the women's.
Yeah, that's incredible. And why were you on the fence?
Well, I was on the fence because intimacy was a big issue. The whole thing of him being angry and difficult to be around, I felt like I walked on eggshells a lot. That was an issue with the kids, also with him. And I found that, regular duty sex made things a lot easier. So that really caused our intimate life, my end anyway, to be pretty lousy. And then there were other aspects too of menopause that were causing challenges, a lot of which I've been able to figure out with some professionals, medical professionals and stuff. But it just was not good. And it just, so a lot of Delight Your Marriage talks about intimacy, encourages us, because it's a major way that husbands feel loved,
Right.
wholeheartedly loved sexually. And that's one of the
Exactly.
parts of the frameworks of DYM.
So in this position that you were in, Kim, where duty sex worked to make things a little bit better, but it really was hurtful. How did listening, when you first learned about delayed marriage, how did listening to Bella's teachings, whether through the podcast or hearing what your friend was sharing, how did that land with you
Yeah, well,
specifically?
that's exactly why I didn't want to join the program, because I'm like, oh, more sex, more intimacy, not interested. I'm doing plenty. I don't want to do anything fancy. We just want to get on. And although actually, since he changed, he became more lovable, and my heart changed towards him.
It did. I saw it. I saw it right
That's
away.
incredible. That's incredible. Kim, I would love to hear what were the changes that you witnessed coming from Russ, from the work that he was doing. What were you experiencing in your marriage at that time?
Well, let me back up a moment. He's a maniac deer hunter, and he spends lots of money and time producing food for the deer on the land that we own to entice the deer to come in. And I've said to him, do you remember this?
Mhm.
Like 10 or 15 years ago, it's like, if you spent half as much time and effort to pursue my heart, we'd have a different marriage.
Hmm.
And
Wow.
yeah, so I forgot the question now.
So
See,
you feel like my pursuing your heart has changed your response to intimacy.
Yes.
Yeah.
wow. Yeah, because he was working in the program. You were, oh no, I'm not going there. I don't like what I hear, and I'm certainly not going to volunteer myself to learn more about that. But hang on now, as the time is progressing, you're seeing changes in
Well, and
Russ.
he was doing what it says, he was um helping me to feel safe because he wasn't angry or
Mm,
arguing. He was doing little things that let me see that he cared about what I liked. So I felt known
mm,
and I felt cherished because he did all kinds of things that
She
will.
is well trained now. She will not touch a door handle if I'm nearby. She'll walk up to the door and stand there. And we had a friend yesterday kind of give us a look like, what are you doing? And I came around and opened the door. And that's
oh,
part of
that's sweet.
DYM. And I mean, I did that when we were dating, but 35 years of marriage, now 39, I had stopped. But why stop? If it was
Right,
important to winning her heart, why shouldn't I do
right.
it
To keep
Mm,
her.
to keep her heart? So it's
oh,
a part of our thing now that we
part
do.
of your
We just
culture.
kind of laugh about it, that
Yes,
it's a part of her life. I
that's
love
so sweet.
opening the door for her.
That is
So
so sweet. So
yeah,
sweet.
yeah.
Okay, so Kim, you see changes in Russ. You begin to feel more emotionally safe. You begin to feel more known as his wife and as his love. And I heard you say that there was a meeting in I think it was in December with your friends again, and your friend encouraged you again, Kim. Come on, let's do
Yeah.
this.
At that time, there were periodic master classes they put out, and then you'd have an opportunity to join a new wave of classes. And so
Yes.
I interviewed with you and did a clarity call and started in January, and it was wonderful.
There was one other thing tied at that point that is come back around now. Delay Your Marriage is going into local churches, and there was a thought of back then, it was 4 years ago, or 3.5 years ago, that we want to go into churches, but the only way that you can go into churches is there's a men's class and a women's class, and the only way that couple can do it, where one does the men's and one does the women's, if both have been through the program. So Kim has always longed to do ministry together like that. Um, and she's like, yeah, I do need to do this because when that happens, I do want to do that. Now it's been 3.5 years till it's come out, but now that it's
Yeah.
come out, that was one of
Okay.
your motivations. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I guess so. Forgot about that part.
That's interesting. That's so sweet. So, clarity call for you, Kim. You were invited into the program. You said yes to the program, which was a
Yes.
big deal. So, what at that point were some significant challenges that you really did want to grow through at that point for yourself?
Well, I think for me, again, this was 3.5 years ago. I'm trying to remember that. I really, my primary remembrance is that I just wanted to catch up with where Russ was at.
Mhm.
I wanted to get in the program and start swimming. I wanted to learn as much as I could. And yeah, I was afraid of the intimacy aspect of it, but I was determined to trust the process. And what I ended up doing, at that point, I had listened to probably at least half of Bella's podcasts. So I had been listening. Um, it wasn't that I totally rejected it. I just was afraid of the coaching part. So I dove into the coaching. And I forget exactly what my goals were, to tell you the truth, other than that I wanted to grow. I needed to
Yeah.
grow to
Mhm.
catch up to my husband.
How did you grow, Kim?
So back then, that's a good question. Because I'm thinking more about my refresh with it. Um, yeah, I was challenged with intimacy to really understand. Oh, I know. We had been in with a counselor the previous year, and she asked us to read the book Love and Respect. And I just wanted to throw it through the window. I hated it. I wanted to burn it, because I didn't feel loved and he didn't feel respected. So respect was a big issue with us, um, mostly on the male side, on my husband's side. And so I wanted to understand some of that because that is part of the Do I Am framework. And yeah, so love and respect, I just was so frustrated with that whole thing. Both the sexuality aspect of it and what does a male see as respectful? And I felt like I couldn't ask him questions. I couldn't, discuss anything that was like over the line into um his business. And I do have a lot of ideas. I think too much. So sometimes I think of
Mhm.
things in the middle of the night. And if I ask him, he'd get really upset with me. But we're navigating that and it's improved significantly. So, understanding some of what respect is has really helped. And also understanding that my husband isn't strange, that this is the way God made men. And just being able to make the transition to wholeheartedly love him
Mhm.
sexually. That's been really good.
She's done great. It's been amazing.
Oh, that is so sweet. So
Yeah.
what are what are some of the glimmers, would you say, from that your first go around with Delay Your Marriage? What came of that initial Russ joins first and he starts to do this work? Kim, you start to see changes within him, which bring you to a place of wanting to learn more, and then coming in and learning those things. What are some of the positive results that happened between the two of you in your marriage?
Well, one thing I saw was she was we had a more openness to talking. Like if I felt something was disrespectful, I could say, ouch, that was disrespectful. And she'd be like, really? And then we could talk about it. Whereas
Mm,
before it would be a big argument and we'd stop talking for days and then it would trigger to this, to that, to a snowballing. And now we're in a 7 week argument that, oh gosh, it's just horrendous over something usually stupid that started the whole thing. I mean,
Like
mo
how to flip pancakes properly.
yeah, well, I mean, something really like
They're
that is
mashed potatoes.
insignificant. It's like, we have this disconnect for weeks because of what?
Mm.
What started it? All the way
Yeah.
back there, does not make sense.
Right.
And the only one who's getting excited about it is the enemy who wants
Yeah.
us to see us not united. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, we were able to talk about things like that.
Mm.
It was really, really good.
It's
Really
incredible.
good.
Incredible.
Yeah,
And better communication and zero arguments that must have trickled into your family as well.
Yes, it did.
absolutely.
How so? How would you say that shifted the dynamic?
Well, we were empty nesters by then.
Mhm.
We don't have that many kids that live very close to us. The closest is 2.5 hours away. But we did spend some time with them, and I don't know exactly what they would all say, but I think they've seen some improvement. Others haven't seen it, and our relationship with them isn't all that great. So, what
All
about
right.
the recent one?
Yeah, well, more than half of our kids um are good with us. I mean, last Thanksgiving, so now we're going back 9 months ago, 10 months ago. Um, I asked two of our kids directly, how are you doing with us and with me? And the one who's closest says, we have no problem with you. Her and her husband both on the phone. We have no problems with you. There's no issues. Everything's wonderful. And I'm going, wow. Because
Wow.
3 years ago, even after finishing DYM, MRG for me, MR, there were problems. And I would go there and help them on projects around their place. And my daughter was very bristly and kind of coming at me like a bulldog. And I just had to like, okay, I'm not going to fight. What do you want me to do? And just kind of give in to her and do things the way she said and make peace and keep the peace and not argue and go ballistic like the old Russ would have done. And that was all healed. That was amazing. And then another daughter who would avoid us was no longer avoiding us, was seeking us out. And on their way driving through our area to see his family 12 hours away, we're like in the middle, stopped by on the way to Christmas and on the way back. And they were so loving, saying, oh, this is the highlight of our trip. And
Oh.
things like that that just blew my mind away. Like, what? Are you kidding me? You just saw me a week ago and you're excited to be back? What? Really? I mean, my kids have never been that way. And then this spring, another daughter sent us a text after being at her place. We had an elderly lady, we're getting elderly ourselves, but she's in her 80s, who had a hip redone and just needed a place to stay. And so we had done this once before with her. She's like family. And so she was here, and our daughter was here for 3 days with us. I felt like I kind of ignored her a little bit and didn't spend as much time as I should have. So I was reaching out to her, and she sent a text back that just made us cry. I mean, saying, just being around with this other lady and seeing how she needs care and you take care of her. And one day you guys will be like that and you'll need care taken of you. And she's become an RN and she's like, I'm single, probably not going to get married. And I see that's going to be my job out of our kids to take care of you. And I would love that. And then she said,
Wow.
there is absolutely nothing you can do to stop me from loving you.
Hmm.
And she's got a sibling that right now is not talking with us because of foolishness, a lot on my part, but both of our parts.
Past wounds.
Yeah.
Which is part of what God is using, even DYM,
He's healing it.
with us and hopefully with our kids.
Yeah.
Well,
And then,
how do you mean, Kim? I'm sorry, do you mind?
Okay, so the skills
helping me
that we've gotten from DYM and the healing that we've gotten from DYM we're trusting that God is using that to complete these relational difficulties that we've had with our kids over the years. So this is the healing that's happened as they're all out of the empty nest. And this is what Russ is referring to.
Incredible.
And
Absolutely.
the other child that I haven't mentioned, that adult child is great with my wife, but has a lot of problems with me. And since that child was 12, turning 30 in a month, there's been a lot of difficulties. So since MR and since this program, there have been fewer arguments between us because I've changed. And that child has not been wanting to admit that I've changed. And at Thanksgiving, a year ago, said to my wife in front of me, see, dad hasn't changed. Look what he's doing. And I laughed, and she's standing up for me, which is an amazing thing, saying, no, your dad has really changed. He really has. So we had a time this February, and when we were out there with this child, the child finally said, Dad, you have changed. And at the end of that time, it was a couple days, the child said, this is the best time I've ever had with you, Dad. And, this new generation is into canceling parents.
Yeah.
And, we're undergoing the pains of that, but we need to respond like Jesus, not like wounded, hurt people, not returning insult for insult, but loving in spite of being insulted.
Right.
And that's what DYM has
That's
taught
what we've been
us.
taught. That's this community supports that and challenges us when we get out of line with that to live that. So we're living that, and we're expecting healing from God in all of our children.
Yes.
And
Amen.
for a renewal, and I wish I could go back 20 years and change who I was, but I can't. I've made these mistakes. I've caused these wounds in my kids. Now my wife has forgiven me, and it's beautiful. And I just thanked her the other day. Thank you for forgiving me. I can't believe you did that. Thank you so very much.
Thank
It
you
was
for doing
beautiful.
the work.
Yeah. Our marriage is at a place where it's never been before. I never dreamed it would be. And it keeps getting better. It's like, oh my goodness.
I love it.
Being in this community is amazing. Some people will come in and then they'll leave. They won't go in the graduate program, or they'll go in and stay for a time and then leave. For me, I just was like, I need to do this, and I need to be like a lifetime participant because I never want to go back. I need other men for the men's side to keep me accountable, and I need to keep growing. I'm not there yet. I've not arrived. I need to keep growing. These men keep me sharp. Bella keeps us sharp on the monthly calls, the different people that we get on the calls, my involvement here. So if all I do is serve, it's still keeping me sharp.
Yes.
And I'm growing.
Absolutely.
And that's really what I need. I need to keep growing.
Keep growing. So that's a perfect segue. I want to go back just a little bit and then segue forward with you, Kim, on the re-engagement that you recently participated in. But Russ, you said something just a moment ago that I think we need to highlight as and then just want to talk to you about, Kim. Russ said there was a bit of a, there was something that happened, and instead of engaging, you walked away, but Kim stayed. And what you said, Russ, was that Kim then shared that you have changed. Your dad has changed. So Kim, you were in this place of supporting Russ and really highlighting his efforts and his changes and how it has affected your marriage and and your other children as well. That's a big deal, Kim. So I want to highlight that, and I want to bring that into the opportunity that you took to re-engage in the Delighted Wife program. And so how long ago was that, would you say, Kim, that you did that?
It was just this past February. It's August now.
Okay. All right. And what brought you to that place, Kim, that you decided you wanted to re-engage?
I was just having some, I don't know, emotional struggles. I was really struggling with resentment, and anxiety. The anxiety was just kind of our life. Getting older, we have a fair amount of property and responsibilities with it. Things that I didn't really dream of for retirement. So, I I was anxious about all the balls that we were juggling. And I think I just had lost focus on the right things. Looking back at it, I didn't realize that then. But I was angry with Russ. I mean, one of the one of the things that happened as a result of him, um, you know, doing the work, he's like all totally in love with me, and he's always there. We're retired now, and he has a lot of work he does, but um I just was like, can you just give me a break? Can I have an hour to myself? And he's Mr. Personality, and sometimes he's just a little too much noise for me. So it just felt like every time I turned around, he needed something. There were some health issues where he was having vertigo stuff, and things that we were counting on doing wouldn't happen or I'd have to go and do it when it was, his thing to do. And I didn't really want to be doing that. So, I was having some resentment issues, and so the possibility of coming and getting involved with, I didn't even know that people did this regularly. I knew a few people did, but I didn't realize that, a lot of the people who served as facilitators and who had been in the program for a while did a refresh where we just re-engaged with the material, and had coaching with Bella because of that. And it was offered or encouraged to me to do that again,
And it was somebody in the community who came to Kim and said, I think you need this. I think it's going to help you. I think it's going to help you and Russ in your marriage. So that person just really came to us and said that. And it was a huge blessing.
Yes.
Wow. That is a huge blessing. So what things changed for you, Kim, in this re-engagement?
Well, I think it really started out with a bang, because I did it was like a clarity call, but since I was in the program already, it was called a re-engagement call. And that I describe as cataclysmic, because I think it was only 30 minutes long, and somehow we just uncovered all the stuff that was bothering me. And they became goals for me to work on. And it helped me, instead of, blaming him, which blame is a family trait that we have worked at trying to root out, but it's like a weed that just keeps coming up in your garden, and oh, there it is, pull it out, get rid of it. So I wanted to not be blaming him. I needed to take responsibility for where I could and figure out how to navigate the situation in a positive way. I think one of the things that was really helpful was just the whole positive aspect of it, that there is hope, and, not feeling shame or, any kind of condemnation towards the way our marriage had, we took a baby step backwards, or I certainly did, in my attitude. And it was like, yeah, re-engage with the material, have some more coaching. And it was just so positive.
So good. I love that the re-engagement call opportunity brought new goals to
It was
you,
great.
Kim. Yeah, really a fresh perspective from where you were at that time, right? This wasn't, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this wasn't about going back to the beginning. This was about continuing the growth that you had experienced. and just deepening that growth
Yes.
within.
Yeah, it was re-engaging with the same. Well, I had had a couple of iterations of the trainings, because when I first joined, they didn't have the current 12-week program set up for women, and I was there at the original recording of that. So I was re-engaging with basically that material, which I had done a year and a half previously, I guess. But it's amazing how, even though I had gone back to it and redone some of the modules, it's just amazing how God used the same material. I was like, did that change? No, that's really the same. But I just heard new things. It was wonderful. So, yeah, I think, specific things were understanding more layers of what respect is for my husband, and just really trying to trying to do that, to respect him. Like, how do you tell somebody you're bothering me respectfully?
Yeah, right.
It became a thing of, honey, I need to have, I'm trying to redo my morning routine, and I want to be doing this and this and this at this time. And is it okay if you don't talk with me, or should I go somewhere else? We have limited space right now. So, he became part of the problem. Not problem, I'm sorry, the solution
Yeah.
to the
Solution,
problem.
yes.
I shared
Right,
the problem, and
right.
he helped me solve it.
But even
Yeah.
playfulness in that, like she'll say it playfully, like, come over here and give me a kiss, and I'll give her a kiss. And then she'll say, like, okay, can you not bother me for the next hour? I've got stuff I've got to do. And it's like, okay, sure, no problem. Thank you for letting me know what you need.
Yes. Wow, that's so
Yeah.
meaningful. Really, if you think about just that interaction right
Yep.
there.
Yep.
And so those shifts.
And the respect thing, it's almost
Mm,
like we're speaking a foreign language that she does not
right,
know. For
right.
her as a woman,
Yeah.
this is my perspective looking at it. She doesn't get what's disrespectful. Like, even sometimes I'll say, that was really disrespectful to me. That felt disrespectful.
Mm,
And she'll be like, really? And like, she's the thinker who thinks through details. I just run with stuff and go and
yeah,
kind of,
yeah.
I'm the explorer who just let's go conquer that mountain and don't think through all the parts that go along with it.
Hmm,
So she'll think through it. And I'm like, why are you telling me what to do? I don't come in your kitchen and tell you how to cook food, or, hey, I think you're frying that at too hot a temperature. I
Right,
just let you
right.
do what you do. So let me do what I do. I know what I'm doing. But then
Yes.
many times she'll say stuff to me. I'm like, oh my goodness. Thank you for saying that. I wasn't aware of that. So I've got to also get over myself being offended.
Oh,
Mm,
music
I've
to
got to
my
get over myself being offended and feeling disrespected by her
wow,
strength of being able to point out things that I
that's
don't see
beautiful.
otherwise.
Beautiful.
So it's both of us growing, and it's been
Yeah,
amazing to see the
incredible.
growth. And so there's been a lot of growth in
Yes,
respect and
yes.
her understanding it. Yeah, just like,
Yeah.
you know, friends of ours have said that learning another person is like discovering a continent. You'll never discover the whole continent.
That's
You'll never
right.
know the whole
That's right.
person. And that is true. There is a truth of
Takes time.
getting to
Takes
know
time,
her and her
right?
getting to know me. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Was there something that happened for each of you as an individual or as a couple that you didn't necessarily expect to happen as a result of this work, but that you're very grateful for?
The most recent work.
Any of it.
Hmm. Well, I think I always hoped that we'd be working together
Mm,
more and better.
yeah.
Um, but I mean, it's just really a blessing to even hear him say what he just said.
Hmm.
That I really felt when he felt disrespected for me saying something, I felt shut down. I felt like I was not worth anything to him. And, I think God gave me to him to be a helpmate, like extra eyes, an extra brain, that we are supposed to complement each other and work together.
Incredible.
And so the
Incredible.
good things that I brought, I felt like they were just being flushed, and that was really hard. So now we feel, well, I feel like we're more of a team. And
Mm,
that's been really great.
that's so cool.
And I think, I don't know, I in many ways, I don't think all that much has changed except in my head since I
Mm,
was anxious in February. But I don't
yeah.
feel as anxious anymore.
Mhm.
Praise God.
And it's peaceful and lovely and wonderful, and it's, I can make requests of him, whereas before I didn't feel the freedom to do that. All
Yeah.
kinds of requests, anything from mowing the lawn um or doing the dishes a different way
Yeah.
or whatever. And if I do it the right way, it comes out great. And he
Yes.
wants to bless me and serve me, and I feel that
That's
way
so
about
good.
him too.
He wants to open the doors for you, Kim.
Yeah.
Right? What
Yeah.
about you, Russ? Is there anything that you didn't expect uh, from your work in the program in
I
the
didn't
coaching program?
expect it to transform me as a person the way it
Mm,
has. I really feel like I've been born again all over again. The
wow.
transformation has been amazing. Um,
Praise God.
it's impacted beyond our marriage. It's impacted our kids, and it's impacted beyond that. I mean, my men friends at church go, "You're totally different. You're so different now than when you before you started to light your
Wow.
marriage." It
Wow.
is significant. Now, I don't see the significance because I'm used to where I'm at now. But
Right.
they saw me before and they remember the old Russ and they see the new Russ and they're like, "You're different. You're really, really different." So,
What is it that they see? Because this is an interesting perspective, right? We're talking
yeah,
outside of your union in your marriage. You're talking about friends. So what is it that they see is different?
not arguing is, I think, a big thing. Not being,
Contentious.
yeah, contentious about stuff,
Yeah.
really important. I sat next to a brother Monday night at our men's group at church, and he said, "Do you remember what you did to me 4 years ago when COVID came?" And I'm like, "Oh my goodness. What an idiot I was." I said, "I am so
No.
sorry." He said, "Yeah,
Oh,
you did it in front of my wife, and your wife gave you the hairy eyeball." I said, "Really? I didn't even catch it." And
Wow.
I don't remember it anyway. So I said, "Well, next time I'm around your wife, would you remind me about this so I
Mm,
can apologize to her?" So that's a
wow.
big thing. Sure apologies
That's
that
a
Bella
big thing.
teaches us
Yeah.
is
That's a
really
big
just
thing.
going and apologizing to people for the things
Yeah.
you've done wrong. And we all do wrong things.
Incredible.
It's really
Incredible.
huge.
Yeah. How has this work impacted your faith?
I've always had faith, but the biggest thing was I knew verses, but I wasn't living them.
Mm,
You know, love your neighbor as yourself. You know, she's my closest neighbor. And I wasn't doing very well with that at all. I was doing a terrible job in certain components. And for me, the hard part for me was she said he has 20 tough years before DYM for her. I said, "Oh my goodness, but don't you remember this and this and this thing and that thing?" And we had so many wonderful things. But as wonderful as those wonderful things were, the old Russ that was hurt and grumpy and they were walking on eggshells ruined all the good things that were
mm,
happening. So I look back and I see good and joy and blessing, and she sees hurt and more hurt because of who I was. So
yeah.
that's gone.
Right.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Praise God.
Yeah.
Praise God.
and I think, he's definitely more optimistic than me and more
Mm,
encouraging, in nature, or he's been that way ever since I met him. in our early 20s. But I think the DYM program in the community is very encouraging and optimistic, and focusing on celebrations.
Yes.
And so I think a lot of that is related to that. The old Russ that used to be like that has come back, not obscured by criticism, the criticism that he used to have, or the grumpiness, or the oh gosh, what was I trying to say?
Walking on eggshells.
Yeah, the anger, the hurt, because it all came out of hurt, of the difficult things that happened during our marriage, part of which was me. I mean, I was critical. I was unhappy. I didn't admire him. I didn't respect him in the way that he wanted to be respected.
Right.
And that damages a husband. And so, I certainly damaged, and that was part of what the different rounds of DYM has us do, is, to take responsibility and ask forgiveness for stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
I've got to talk about a subject I got to go carefully at. Our intimacy is so different. And without going into details, we've both learned that it's not just for me, it's for us, and it is a connection. And so Kim has grown in that. I've grown in that. We've grown in that. And a little TMI, as you get older, I'm on some meds that affect male sexuality. And so it becomes an issue. And it's like, oh my goodness, I'm not 23 anymore. And it really is an eye-opening thing into a woman's realm of sexual
Libido.
performance and libido, and feeling broken. And, as a man, when you can't perform the way you used to, you feel broken. And that's how a lot of wives feel. Like, I'm broken. My husband climaxes and loves us every time. And, for a woman who doesn't climax often, or maybe never has, it's like, what's wrong with me? Am I broken? And being able to feel that as a man, it's like, oh my goodness, you know what? But my wife still loves me, and there is a connection in this. And the intimacy is for both of us. That's a huge growth area for
That's
both of
huge.
us. For
You're right.
me as a man, but also for Kim as a wife.
You're right.
And also the focus is not just on the the highlight, which for most men would be sexual intercourse. There's so many other aspects of intimacy. So that's been really great, and we've really enjoyed a lot of different things as we're getting older.
Yes. Oh, this is so sweet. And it's such a blessing of the Lord, because if we rewind a little bit, just right here in your story specifically, Kim, you were all like, no, to delight your marriage, to Bella's coaching or teaching, because you saw it as all encompassing around sexual intimacy. Right. But I love that Russ goes first. He takes the lead in this work, and you see the shifts and the changes in him, which allows you and kind of welcomes you into accepting, coming into the work. But then here we are, fast forward through your story, and so much just beautiful work by the Lord in your hearts individually, as a daughter of the King and as a son of the King, and just really understanding more about each other, and what the Lord has designed for each of you in your roles. I love that you've come to this piece in your story, Russ, and Kim, that intimacy, the sexual intimacy piece of your marriage is whole, and it's healed, and it's good. And so that is just such a huge praise. Huge praise to the Lord.
Yeah.
So good. One curiosity question for you. You had mentioned early in your story that you had been through, I think you said, thousands of dollars of counseling.
Tens of thousands, probably
Tens of
$10,000 or more.
Wow.
Mhm.
Why was Delete Your Marriage different?
I there were a number of times when I was just in so much pain. I would ask different men, even elders in one or two different churches that we were part of, to speak into my husband's life.
Mhm.
And some of them courageously did, and he just blew them off. He's a strong personality.
Yeah, I don't know that I'd say I blew them off. I listened to them. I thought I was doing what they were saying, but I guess I didn't do it well enough.
Uh,
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
so, I mean, the thing that was the beauty in Russ doing this first was really for the first time that I could see it. There, maybe the second time. Um, but this was a long-term thing where Bella was able to speak into his life and call him out on specific things. Part of it was the material and the word of God and the Holy Spirit, but part of it was Bella. I
Mhm.
mean, I don't know, I wasn't there, but I know that she's certainly spoken into my life when I've been in coaching under
Mhm.
her. And she can really put the fear of God in you, because really she puts it in the right context, which is,
Mm.
we're going to have to answer. And this is exactly what our wedding vows were. Almost We're like a little over 39 years now. So next
Wow.
June it'll be 40 years.
Wow.
And our pastor, I mean, I remember standing there facing Russ, quaking in my boots. And he said, you will be judged on the way you love this man. And he said the same thing to Russ. You will be judged on the way you love this woman. And, again, it's a big deal to God how we love each other. If we say we're Christians and we're serving God and we're not loving and respecting our spouse, that's not loving and respecting God. That's not doing what he said. So anyway, we
Wow.
do have that to answer to.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So, Russ, what would you say to a gentleman who is considering doing this work?
Yeah. Very specific. Sadly, I have seen men who wait too long to get in this program.
Mm.
And if there is area for improvement in you and in your marriage from your side, don't wait. Get
Wow.
into it. Um, yeah, don't wait till the marriage is on life support.
Hmm.
Mm.
Well,
If there are issues, please jump in here. Deal with it because I believe that we as men are more blind to a wife not being happy in a marriage than than the reality is. We don't see it. How many men get blindsided by divorce papers? How many men get, oh my goodness, we're in trouble, and then they jump in to do work, whatever it is, and it's too late. And don't wait. Don't wait too late. If you can grow today, if you realize, oh my goodness, I'm not loving my wife as well as I should, I need to grow. I need to be the man that God's called me to be. I need a community of men to be a part of. And that's the MRG community. They are a community of men. I've had not just Bella get my face. I've had brothers in my accountability group in the MRG community get in my face. It doesn't happen very often. And it actually is quite shocking which man it is. It's usually the man who's quiet, who doesn't say very much. And there's a particular man in our MRG community who twice got in my face and twice were great times of catapulting growth that transformed me. And it was
Wow.
applying the MRG and MR Delight Your Marriage principles that Bella taught us, which are biblical principles. And he's like, Russ, you're not doing it. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And I grew. So don't wait. Jump in, grow. It is really, really important to do.
Yes.
The coaching is amazing. The community is amazing. Um, these men are some of my closest friends. And in the men's side, we actually had a meetup. These guys are all virtual friends. We think they
Yeah.
exist. I see them on the screen. I hear their voice. I can call them on their phone, but it is really a community of love and support, and it's family. And it truly is amazing. We had a meetup in Denver, the center of the country, where men were invited to come if they wanted to. And 11 of us showed up, and four of us are from the same group. And we'd never met each other before.
Incredible.
And it was so beautiful just hugging one another and being with one another, saying, "You do exist."
That's so great. Oh,
It
I
was
love it.
wonderful.
I love it.
Yeah.
That is wonderful. Thank you, Russ. Thank you. And Kim, no, go back to the the thoughts you had around this work, around Delight Your Marriage prior to coming in, and think about where you were then and where you are now. And same question for you. What would you say to a wife who was in a similar position as you were?
I think um, I before I got married, I wanted to be married. I wanted to have kids. I wanted to have a wonderful marriage and wonderful kids. I would use the P word, but that's not a good word. Perfect.
Mm.
Yeah.
Um, and so as of course we had a lot of kids. We had 5 kids and we were thankful for that. But it also then became very complicated. And so and as marriage wasn't that much fun because of the different challenges that we've discussed, um, it's very easy as a mom to get lost in your kids, especially if you have a lot of them and you homeschool and whatever. Um,
Mm.
so I really did not keep Russ as my first neighbor. And, that was one of the things in the assorted breakthroughs that I referred to earlier, where we were encouraged, at least in one, to really focus on each other. But meanwhile, I've got 5 kids, several of whom were teenagers, just kind of, I felt like we were just abandoning them.
Mhm.
And so I think, for a wife to consider doing this work, especially if she has kids at home, that's a huge thing.
Mhm.
That's a big, big commitment because it's not just showing up for an hour of coaching. It's not even showing up for an hour of coaching and an hour of accountability group. It's not even that. It's doing the work too
Mhm.
and implementing it. And then you have regular time with your husband and time with your kids. And many people have a job too. And so there's just a whole lot of demands, but I would definitely echo what Russ had. I mean, if I had access to this material, I sure hope I would have used it well. It is encouraging that there's an opportunity coming up with the church, the local church program that is coming out from Delight Your Marriage. But for me and for, encouraging a wife to do it, don't wait, just like what Russ said. Um, I don't know how I would have juggled it all, but I wish I had. I
Mm.
didn't have the opportunity. I didn't know what to do. I was really looking for mentors. I think we both were
Yeah.
Yeah.
when we
Yeah.
had kids. It just wasn't really available. This provides mentors.
Mhm.
The accountability group is a group of peer mentors. And
Yes.
the facilitator is generally a little bit ahead of you, if not a lot ahead of you. Um, uh, Bella is, certainly way ahead of you because she's got the download from God
Mhm.
to look into your heart and to look into what you share and to help you adjust whatever you need to do to be more the wife that you should be in the context of your husband and
Incredible.
your
Yeah.
family.
Thank you, Kim. I appreciate all of that. I'm curious, Kim, how would you describe your marriage now?
Oh, it's I'm just so thankful. I don't know. I'd say I'm not one to like put numbers real high. But I'd say it's about a 9 to a 10 at times. And I'm just so glad.
Yay.
Oh, that's sweet. That's really sweet. I love it. How about you, Russ? How would you describe your marriage now?
Oh, yeah, same thing. Definitely a 9 to a 10. It's hard to put a 10 on anything. 10 means perfect, no room for growth. There's always room for growth.
There
It
is. Yeah.
it's amazing. We still have our bumps, we still have our problems, we
Mhm.
still will have an argument, not an argument, a conflict. Yeah, not an argument. Yeah.
Right.
And and we'll still have those issues that will come up and there'll be difficulty, but we have the tools.
Right.
We've gotten the tools that and we're in a community that holds us accountable to those tools. So when I come into my group of guys, my call is on Thursday, and I've blown it this week. I can't keep quiet about that. I have to rat myself
Mhm.
out with the guys and
Right.
say, okay, yeah, I did this, and I was defensive and I was argumentative and I didn't listen to my wife well and I didn't do circle listening. And okay, I see what I got to do. And most of the times they don't have to say a word to me because God's already convicting me. This material
Mm.
is in my forefront, which is biblical material. And my feet are being held to the fire of, okay, am I living by the fruit of this spirit?
Mm.
Is is God my first love? Am I loving my wife as my closest neighbor? Um, all these different principles I'm forgetting, right? Forgiveness. Am I
Yeah.
walking in
That's good.
forgiveness and not in
Yeah.
bitterness? Am I living my life by faith? Am I thinking on whatever is good, right, and pure, of good repute? Um, or am I going down negative thinking? Am I, making assumptions about things that I shouldn't be assuming? All these different things, they're right in front of you, and you have to live by them.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So as you look forward to 40 years,
Mm.
40 years, you
Yeah.
guys, it's so incredible.
It
Give
is.
me give me one word that describes your marriage, your union.
I have to use something from your program. Delight. It is a
Oh,
delight. Our
incredible.
marriage is a delight. It's amazing.
Delight.
Yes.
It's beautiful. How about you, Kim? Do you have a
Um,
word that describes?
well, I guess the first word that came to mind was thankful. And
Oh,
I'm really
how
thankful that he's
sweet.
here.
Yes.
I literally at times would pray that one of us would die before
Mm,
DYM.
Mm.
I was like, yeah, I'm ready for this to be over.
yeah.
And we've had some health issues over the past 4 years, and I'm just thankful that
Thankful.
that we're still here.
I love
and
it.
and we're
I
making
love
our
it.
adjustments and learning to love each other better every day.
Thankful.
Yeah.
Ah, it's beautiful. And I am thankful. I'm so thankful that your friend led you here and that Russ, you took the lead and you went first. And Kim, you leaned into the changes you were seeing in Russ and you came into this work for yourself as well.
Yeah.
The what the Lord has done in both of you is just incredible, bringing head knowledge to your heart and really helping you be consistent in living out those incredibly important scriptural principles that we
Yep.
learn, but
Yeah.
then also thankful that the ripple effect that has come as a result of your commitment to each other and to this work is now being seen so clearly in your family, in your
Hmm.
children, right?
Yeah.
And then even beyond out into your friends and your community. Um, I love the visual picture of you, Kim, standing at the door, and here comes Russ. He opens that door for you. So
Yeah.
it's so sweet. It is such an honor to sit here with both of you and to hear your story. Thank you so much for being here with me today and the courage and just your sense of humor and your humility. It's so touching. So thank you so much.
Yeah, one thing I would say is we feel so loved by the DYM community.
Mhm.
It is amazing. It is like family. And we're grateful. I'm grateful for her going through it a second time. I'm grateful for the people who, came to her and said, you need to do this. And
Right.
I'm grateful for what she learned and how she grew, because I think she grew in all the ways that
Mhm.
were intended for her to grow in this time. So it's
Incredible.
not that she's perfect. We all have more growing,
That's right.
but it was a goal achieved. And
Yeah.
it's just amazing to have an impact in other people's lives and see that. It's a jewel in your crown. So
Yes.
thank you to DYM,
Absolutely.
the staff and everybody involved,
And the
Bella.
Lord.
Yeah, and the Lord.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Amen.
Yes. Praise the Lord for every ounce
Yeah.
of it. All right, you two. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Dana.
Yeah.
Thank you for your part in it, with again, that re-engagement call was just amazing how God just used you to help me focus on what was causing the angst.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
it was an amazing time. I still am amazed.
Oh, praise
So,
God, Kim. I'm honored. I'm honored to have
great
walked through that
speaking
with you.
again.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you so much. So sweet.